Oh, shalom. Dana is studying. Greetings, brothers and sisters. What a sign. What a heavenly sign. See, people are seriously freaking out. Well, what's going on? That's the question. What is going on? All right. Well, let's take a look. All right. Okay, this is March 20th, right? This is March 20th, and let's bring it back over here. Okay, solar eclipse, supermoon, and spring equinox all occurring on the same day. So the solar eclipse, the supermoon, and the spring equinox all arrives on the same day, and that day is today. Today is a day that Yahweh has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. But those who don't know Yahweh and have no faith are freaking out a little bit, freaking out a lot about, the correspondence of these signs on the same day and at the same time. Now, to some might wonder, well, what is so amazing about that? It's the alignment, really. But there's a little, I won't call it a problem, but only certain people in certain regions are going to be able to see that, right? I mean, we're going to be able to see different parts of it. Different ones will see different parts in different areas. Look right here, over here. Okay, here we got the vernal equinox, March 20th at 6:45 p.m. When the sun's most direct rays fall on the equator. So you can see this over here. And this is another one that's a little smaller right there. All right. And what does this mean in the book? All right. What are we fulfilling in the book? Remember what Bob said? Some just take a look. All right. So we have the total solar eclipse, I think in the northern and the European hemisphere. It's seeable. We also have the new supermoon. That means the moon is going to be fuller and bigger. It's almost like a birth, like a belly, like a baby. It's going to be like big. That's the appearance. That's how it's going to appear. And at the same time is the vernal equinox. And we know that coming up in about a Shavua, we have Pesach or Fasika or Passover, right? And all this is happening within this Shemitah year, this year of release, this Jubilee. It has a lot to do with the Jubilee here. This is like about 12:30, a little after 12:30 a.m. And let you check this out over here. All right, this is a little bit more of it right here. This is from SunEarth gsfc.nasa.gov/eclipse, right? And this is more or less how it will appear and in what region of the earth it will be most seen. So we're still in the shadow state over here in the North Country. Jeremiah 23:8, verses 7 and 8 are key verses, especially for the Pesach, the Passover coming forward. So just keep that in mind right there. But in the North Country, you can see over here in the North Country. So this is where, you see that shadow right there? Yeah, that's the shadow. The eclipse's shadow. That's what NASA estimates. NASA's animation shows the path and the size of the eclipse's shadow right there. So we're here at Huffington Huffington Post, right? One of the best aggregators of a lot of the information out there. Usually they have their people grab everything from everywhere and kind of put it right there. So it's a good, not a one-stop shopping, but, we can get a kind of overview, and then any particular, subject matters, we can go into a little more detail there. So the solar eclipse of 2015 will be visible, it says right here. Let me pull out a little bit right here. Would be visible, or will be visible, it says, only in Europe. But that doesn't mean we can't all join in the fun, they say. So the total solar eclipse of 2015, and here it says that the event starts Friday, March 20th, 2015 at 12:30 a.m. So that means this is about this time right now, since we're not on the European so-called side of it, so we can't see it, but all those in Europe, no doubt, in certain regions are able to see it. So sky watchers, and people who are into this, are getting ready for this big treat. And then they say a quick nap. So let's just go over this right here. It says on Friday, a rare total solar eclipse will temporarily block out the sun in Europe. Playing a little bit of Gregorian chants there. Okay, so the eclipse will be the continent's darkest since 1999. So this is like a repeat, in a sense, event, or the last time any such event was seen, a temporary blackout of the sun in Europe was 1999. Gonna party like it's 1999. Remember that Edomite song right there, right? With reductions in sunlight varying from 85% in London. Don't they say the sun never sets? Well, how about the eclipse, right? So from 85% sunlight reduction in London to a whopping, they say 98% in northern Scotland. So that means people over there are bound to experience from a 85 to a 98% of just, lights out. In other words, lights out in Europe. Okay, here's once again the NASA projection right here of how it will look. So most of us over here in the so-called West or the America is not going to really see it so much, but you'll see where it will be seen, right? And a portion, I think, West Africa, right? West Africa, and just it seemed like it would touch just where the pyramid is, looking at this projection right there. So this is what's actually happening right now, right now in another part of the world, right? But why is it significant for us? Well, we're going to show you the Hebrew calendar in just a moment. Let's open this new tab right here, because the sidebar says people are seriously freaking out about the eclipse, supermoon, and equinox. Why? Because those events usually don't occur simultaneously at the same time. Right? The eclipse's northern trajectory means people in other parts of the world won't be able to witness it in person. So we'll get to see some of the video repeats, which is not too bad, but won't be able to see this in person. But this is fear not. Slush Community Observatory will live stream the eclipse at 4:30 a.m. The Virtual Telescope Project will have live coverage beginning at 4 a.m. So some folks are probably up for that event. We took a little nap and we got up around this time. So let me do a time check right here. It's about 12:49 a.m. right now. So what NASA calls the instant of greatest eclipse will come at 5:45 a.m. on the East Coast in the U.S. So just around dawn, right? And 2:45 a.m. on the West Coast. So we're going to try to get this video up there for some of you early birds, as it were. Catch that worm. Even if you're not a devoted umbraphile, that's an eclipse lover, you might want to drag yourself out of bed and have a look at your computer screen. Universe Today reports this is the first total solar eclipse to coincide with the vernal equinox, which marks the first day of spring since, get this, March 20th, 1662. Okay, was that a good year? Okay, March 20th, 1662. So this is the first total solar eclipse to coincide with the vernal equinox, what they call like the spring equinox, since the same day, March 20th, 1662. Those who are, they say, lucky enough, and that means you get enough light, Luca, like they say Lucifer, but not in that sense, but light, right? So if you're lucky, you get light. If you are lucky enough to witness the eclipse in person, should use proper eye protection or construct a simple solar eclipse viewer. Okay, here's a couple of pics right here. And if you snap a photo, a great photo, we want to see it. Of course, they want to see it. They want to put it out here so others can see it. And, what's that over there? Okay. Some stuff on the sidebar. Not going to try to avoid that, not get into that right now. So share your photos, blase, Huffington Post, Eclipse. We'll be collecting user photos from all over, and you'll also be featured on Huff Post or its social media channel. So here's a couple of points of view, right? So let's check out what's going on here. Okay. Okay, these are past pics right here. Behold the heavens and the heavenly signs. Now this eclipse and this time, these three events coinciding are very, very interesting. And we'd like to get into that a little bit more, but just going through a kind of a basic preview right here. A little heads up for those who heads are down. Heads up. All right. Here we go right here. And so be that right there. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay, let's look at the people seriously freaking out. All right. People are seriously freaking out about the eclipse, supermoon, and equinox. All right. In case you haven't heard, there will be 3 celestial events on Friday. Now we know Friday, this is the beginning of the Shabbat too, right? The Shabbat also coming forward in this season, and what about, it's about 10 or so days is the Pesach, Fasika. In fact, you're listening to, Gregorian chant of Israel's Exodus. It's a beautiful chant right there. Gregorian chant. Let's get this right here. Okay. Hebrew calendar. Just a little interlude there. So, but not everyone's at ease, right? With these events, March 20th events, the main three events, the vernal equinox, spring equinox, beginning of spring, a supermoon, and if you look at the Hebrew, calendar right here, let's see if we can bring up the more expansive one. Is it right here? Okay, you can see, 320, right? 320, about, 10 or so days, 15, 10, 15 days to the beginning of Passover, 4, right? April 3rd, beginning April 3rd, April 4th, and right in that time, the beginning of the new month. So this coincides exactly with the Hebrew, calendar in this, Shemitah year. And we also have the blood moons. All of this occurring, right, within this time, within these 2 years, the 4 blood moon signs, actually the tetrad. And then in the midst of this tetrad, these 2 blood moons, Passover and Sukkot, right? Passover and ingathering. Then right now we're at this particular point right here, right? Adar 29, right? Adar 29. And also the beginning of the Shabbat, and also the Rosh Chodesh, the new moon, and then coming up is Passover. So all these heavenly signs, celestial signs, are lining up like clockwork. And that's freaking out some people, because some people, even if they don't believe in Jah, if they don't believe in Yahweh, if they don't believe in Yeshua or whatnot, they know that these things just don't happen like this. And since they are unbelievers, it's freaking them out. Right? So not everyone's at ease about the unusual confluence of these events. And the solar eclipse in particular is generating quite a lot of buzz. Right? Okay. You want proof? You need proof? Just look at the headline from the United Kingdom's Independent. Solar eclipse will be the beginning of the end of the world, says Christian pastors. Well, they're good for their predictions, aren't they? The fact that the eclipse is happening on the vernal equinox, the beginning of spring in the northern hemisphere, is an unmistakable sign of judgment. Biblical experts told conservative site World News Daily. Other media outlets didn't shy away from dramatic phrasing. Will the solar eclipse create an airy wind? Who was that? That was the Daily Mail. They asked that question. More seriously, the Wall Street Journal reported that the sudden loss of light may disrupt the flow of electricity from solar power plants in Europe and cause a string of eclipse related blackouts. Well, we will see, or we won't see, right? But Dr. J.M. Pesachov, almost sound like Pesachov, right? Passover. Anyway, professor of astronomy at Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts, told the Huffington Post there's no reason to worry about any of it. In fact, quote, eclipses are fun to see, enjoy them, he said of the event, which will darken skies across Europe tomorrow at 9:45 a.m., which over here, it will be like 5:45 a.m. As the moon moves between the earth and the sun. What's more, he said, it's not accurate to say the eclipse, supermoon, and equinox are happening at the same time. After all, the spring equinox occurs at 6:45 p.m. Right? So that means that's more at the time of of Shabbat, the beginning of the Shabbat, right? Eastern time. Quoting eclipse calculation expert Jean-Michel Pasachov, he asked, what does it mean to coincide? An hour, a day, a week? This one is 12 hours off. But didn't Yeshua say? He says, aren't there 12 hours in a day? right? 12 hours off. Do you mean within 12 hours? Do you mean outside of 12 hours? Well, anyway, this is still in the same time frame. Let's put it like that. The eclipse will only be visible in Europe. Right. And that's, we touched on that before. This eclipse will only be visible in Europe. The rest of us will have to live stream it. So don't stay up and, be looking at the sun thinking that the sun is going to, be darkened in that sense. It's only going to be visible in Europe. I wonder, is there any good reason for that? Anyway, once again, here's what is more or less happening, right? Well, most of us are over here. This is like America, the North Country, right? And this is Africa. This is Europe. Where's England? Where's England? I think England is right about here. So you can see this is the shadow, right? This is how the shadow of the eclipse will be moving right there. So you can see how the shadow of the eclipse will be moving. There we go. Right there. We're going to have a little bit of follow up on this, but this was a kind of a heads up, seeing that they said it'll be visible about like 12:30 on one of the pages. Said, hey, 12:30, America time, 12:30 a.m. And I looked at the time and boom, it was 12:30. So we just said, hallelujah. All right. A little bit more to come.